Hello, this is Willow Nightingale, and you are watching the 3 Count Podcast. Or listening to. Bum, bum, bum.
I'm in fashion.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents. And now we enter the ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. And by now, this being almost 57 episodes in, I will hope that you will call me your Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And today you see her right next to me. She can be found at NYWC. You can find her at Fight Pro. You can find her at CCW. You can find her beyond AEW, ROH, NEW, MLW. She is the Incredible. She's also ranked 57 on PWI's top 150 wrestlers. Honestly, top 3 should have been. Okay, put it out there. And she is the babe with the power. Welcome, Willow Nightingale.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Yo, what's up? Yeah, I'm so glad that we get to have you on the show now.
Thanks for finally having me. I know we had a lot of oh, is this gonna work? Is this time gonna work? Is that time gonna work? So it's finally happening. Thank goodness. But yeah, I'm excited to talk, chat, and get a 3 count in. Bam, bam, bam.
Hey, let's go. We met actually at 1CW last year, and like you said, we tried to work this out so we get these scheduling put together. It's crazy, and I tell everybody, it's yo, we're super flexible, and we will do whatever it takes because hey, if we've been trying to get you on the show for 3 months, what's another 24 hours? We're not worried about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But for our listeners, I just want to ask the question right off the jump: who is Willow Nightingale?
That is a fantastic question. I think more than anything, Willow Nightingale is someone who is very proud of all of her own weird quirks and idiosyncrasies, and wears her heart on her sleeve. And I think even though wrestling is oftentimes viewed as this very combative, aggressive sport, which it is, I love being able to bring a softness and a delightful side to it. Because at the end of the day, it really is about trust, between you and your opponent and even the crowd. So to kind of have that bond with everybody, I like to bring out that softness and then in the ring, match it with the intensity and aggression as well.
Yeah, I remember watching your match on at Fight Pro. And so unfortunately, behind the scenes, I'm just going to be 100% and tell you guys, I didn't actually get to watch it live. So I had to go back and watch it. And here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. So there's a reason. I got pulled to the side and was asked, hey, do you want to be a druid? And I was like, this is the wrestling opportunity. I'm not turning this down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Mr. O'Shea Edwards had me be one of his druids.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, and that was the match either right after mine or 2 after mine or something like that. So it was pretty quick. I get it.
But in the moment that I got asked that question, and then when I came back from being a druid, my daughter came to me and was like, I think I found my favorite wrestler. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Willow. And I was like, oh, bet. And she really kind of brought it up to me in the most funniest way too, because we were watching a TikTok and it was poorly describe your favorite wrestler. And I was like, well, my favorite wrestler wears a lot of different colors and jumps around a lot, right? And she was like, mine wears purple hair. And I was like, what? And then she told me, I was like, oh, what? So I thought it was very cute and very
I'm
fun.
so flattered.
But yeah, so I went back and watched your match, and you're right. You have this nice playful side to you, but then when it's time to handle business, hey, you handle the business. You know what I mean?
I try,
Yeah, so I'm just curious, what brought you into the sport though?
So I've always been a fan. I started watching wrestling when I was 8 or 9. I used to play like SmackDown versus Raw with my cousins. I was always like the tomboy, like I'd push the boys around and stuff. And so when they started playing that video game, I was like, this is so awesome. Between just like the fighting, like the drama, like the soap opera-ness of it, I thought it was so fun that I was like, well, why don't I just watch wrestling? So then I started watching wrestling. I became a huge fan. Like even as a kid, I was like, this is what I want to do. I had like a couple of years in high school where I was like, meh, maybe like it's time to grow up. Like I should put this behind me. It's a pipe dream. And then I did the like traditional path. I went to college for a year, and one of the girls in my dorm room actually was like a huge WWE fan. So she was like, hey, this was before the network or Peacock or whatever. She was like, I want to watch WrestleMania, but it's $60 and like I can't pay $60 to watch it by myself. Does anyone want to split it? I was like, I'll split it with you. Like I used to really, really love wrestling. I watch it from time to time now, but like WrestleMania would be fun. So we watched it together and I was like, I'm hooked. I love this again. This is so great. And like, just like the passion was like building up inside of me at this point, 19 years old. 19 at this point. And I had to drop out of school because like I was going through like some financial hardship and I really couldn't go back immediately. So in that time off, I was like, I'm just going to become a wrestler. And I've just been doing that ever since. It was oddly enough, like not one of those things I was like, I'm going to try. It was just like, oh, I'm going to do this. And this is just my life now. So here I am 7 years later, still doing it.
Yeah, it's been wild. Like I would just like be upfront. Like for me, like I've been like travel all over the place, and like people here like know like my aunt was the reason why I got into wrestling, right?
Oh,
And
cool.
and it was crazy. Like I started kind of fall out of love with it, and then recently a promo popped up on my Facebook feed that reminded me why I love wrestling, right? And give everybody an exact date. It was February 14th, 2011. They had made an announcement of a special guest host for WrestleMania, and it was Return of the Brock. And I will never forget. Like I tell the story if we're in person, I will tell you the story like exactly, and you'll see. I just get goosebumps like all over because it hits me so hard, and I was hooked. And I was like, I have to find a way to get into this business any way that I can, right?
Yeah.
And it took a long time, right? And I've only been in now for 2 years, and I'm gonna turn 37 in September. So I'm like, yeah. So it was like I struggled, and I found a way to get into where I wanted to get into, and I was like, this is everything that I wanted. I wanted to rehack this all over again, and
hell yeah.
Now I'm here, and I'm like, yo, like I am never letting this go.
Yeah, it really like grips its claws into you. It's maddening at times, but it's great.
Oh, yes, the wrestling sport is definitely one that if you're not careful, you will rip all whatever hair you have left in your head out.
Yeah, I feel that way sometimes.
But I'm curious though, right? So you said 7 years in. I'm sure you have one of these. I need to know, what's the worst bump you've taken?
Oof, that's a great question. Because you might think, like I had 3 years ago, I broke my neck. And I guess in terms of like the consequences of the bump, that has to be the worst. Because it could have like resulted in paralysis and like it could have been really bad. So like from that standpoint, that's probably the most dangerous bump I've taken. But the actually like most painful bump I've taken was I like did something where I like tripped over someone, but like I didn't take like a flat bump. I like kind of like my back like arched all wacky, and like I don't know. I just like feel like my body folded in the wrong way. And I was like, that hurts way more than I should have expected to. Just like tripping over someone on all fours. And I was like, oh, this hurts. So yeah, anytime you like take a weird funky bump, that sucks. But like heights, I'm not like really afraid of heights. I haven't done like thumbtacks or anything, but I've gone through tables, doors, been hit with chairs. And those are like not unbearable, because at least those you get like that adrenaline rush, but just like that weird like folding motion I did was It's so unexpectedly terrible.
It's always like the moments that you're like never really expecting
Yeah.
to like hurt that just turn painful
Yeah,
out of
exactly.
nowhere.
Because there's no adrenaline. You're just like, it's going to be easy peasy. What the heck? Oh.
I remember like I was at training one time and I I had never tried for it, but I don't know why I wanted to do it. I wanted to do a Kiritazawa's like senton right from the top.
Yeah.
Mind you, I was scared to get on top of the top rope, so I was like, well, one way to get over this is to try this. And I had only been bumping for like maybe 3 months. So when I did this, yeah, I looked at my trainer and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like that hurt. That hurt a lot.
Yeah. I imagine it's like when I first started wrestling, I was 20 when I first started training, and uh I would like bump around like crazy. Like I didn't care. I was like, this is great. This is so fun. And everyone's like, one day this stuff is going to hurt. And I did like a missile drop kick. And this was like a part of my move set for so many years. And like from time to time, I'll still whip it out. But like, I remember the first time I was like, I want to do a missile drop kick from the top rope. My trainer's like, it's going to hurt. And I was like, it's okay, let's see. Like I just go for it. And so I just went for it. And I was like, that's not so bad. And then again, 7 years doing that, like from the top rope on straight onto your back. It's like, I'll save this for special occasions, like, nah, it's not an everyday move.
No. I hit a 450 and my trainer was like, dude, you should start using that in the matches. I was like, I'm gonna be honest, man, I'm way too old for this. Like I should not be doing this.
I do not have the ability to do a 450, but I've seen my friends do it in training a lot, and it just looks like every single time, like you just get like the wind knocked out of you. Just like, because you like have to go so fast and like tuck with so much momentum, and then like, I'm like, oh god, that looks so painful and difficult and like strenuous.
So I'm curious, like aside from like taking obviously that bump as well as the one that broke your neck, I'm just curious, what's the hardest you've been hit?
Oof. What the first thing that comes to mind is like when I first started training. Again, very bubbly, very like smiley person. I had a hard time getting in tune with my like aggressive, intense side. So I remember I was training with one of the like veterans, and they were really trying to like push me to get like me actually angry to pull that out of me. And so they were kind of like pushing me around and being a heel or whatever. And then they like slapped me across the face to like try to enrage me. And I was like, and it hurt so bad. And I have a twitch in my eye to this day because of that slap. It's just like it'll randomly go off. And that is probably the hardest I've been hit. It like, again, one of those things that is just like you don't even expect it. You're just like, whoa. So that was wild.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know what I would do about that. I don't know. They probably would have woken it up. Like, all right, nah.
Yeah, I got angry then. That's when I was like, what the hell is that?
Like, oh, I found it. Like, no, that's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, I don't know how to channel that. That was like legitimate,
This is the droid you were looking for, and now you're about to get it really bad. All right, so I'm curious, like, usually when you get done with like a show or even like a match, right? Like, I'll be honest, like I have like really bad anxiety, right? So to help settle my anxiety, I keep a bag of gummy bears around me and like I'll just chew them like while I'm getting ready for a match. So I'm curious, like pre-rituals or post-rituals, do you have like that must have that you have to have?
Not so much anymore. I remember when I like very first started, maybe like my first year, I pretty much worked primarily at NYWC, which is like my home company. So I was very comfortable in the locker room and I was kind of able to do whatever I wanted more freely. But I used to knit backstage to like help calm my nerves before and after my match. So that was one that was pretty big for the first year, but like it wasn't really like practical to do on the road.
Right.
So it was something that I did there for a period of time. I used to have like crystals, like healing crystals and stuff. I would keep them in my bra when I wrestled. But then I had too many instances where I would like, get changed and they'd fall out and like break all over the floor. And I was like, this is kind of a mess because I'd always forget about them. So really the only thing that I try to do at this point, like before every match, is make sure that I'm like warming up my neck. Ideally warm up my whole body, but my neck for sure. I always fluff my hair before I go out into the ring. Like right as my music hits, I'm always fluffing my hair. Um, and that's about it. And wish for the best.
Do you have a post-match meal? Like, do you have something that like I gotta have this when I leave?
Not like one thing in particular, but there is a McDonald's. If you leave beyond, usually they have shows in Worcester, Massachusetts, and this is a trip that I make very regularly. Last year when we were doing Uncharted territory, it was pretty much like almost every week going back and forth on Thursday. There is a McDonald's, the first like rest stop on my trip back down to New York, and I would always stop at the McDonald's because it was the only thing that was open and it was the first thing on the road. And I'd get like French fries and a strawberry milkshake if the ice cream machine is working, which is few and far between times. But that's kind of like ritual for that kind of like corner of the world. And the funny thing is, because I have that thought process of like, I just had this show, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I just want to stop the first place. You'd always run into other wrestlers who were on the show there and be like, long time no see, throwing out the dad jokes and stuff. So that's the closest I think I have to like a ritual or like a routine. But yeah, I'm a vegetarian too. So usually if I could find like a protein bar or, some trail mix, I'm happy.
Nice. Now I'm like, listen, okay. So if you're coming down from Worcester and you're taking 95 and you're headed into Connecticut, right? Go get your milkshake. Go get your French fries, right? Then you gotta go down the road and you gotta stop at the first Dunkin's and then get yourself a cappuccino because like.
I do love Dunkin'. I love Starbucks as well, but like Dunkin', especially in the Northeast area, the New England area, very big on Dunkin'. So good call.
Your boy used to live in Massachusetts.
Oh, so you know exactly.
Yeah, because you know what? Like aside from just like Dunkin's and everybody's like talk about Dunkin's, like Cumberland coffee is on point out there.
That's true. If you go to Cumberland Farms, that's a good stop. Or Royal Farms, they have too.
Right. So I'm always like, my buddy used to always joke with me too, because I used to work in Auburn at the Auburn Mall, and he's always like, yo, I'm about to get a Cumbies. You want one? I'm like, yeah, go get me. Bet. So moving over, right? I'm just kind of curious. So like, what's one of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn in the wrestling industry?
I think there's a lot of lessons that are learned the hard way. And so much of what you have to do is difficult that this is kind of a rough question. But I think the hardest thing has really been to like just have self-confidence, because that's not something that anyone else can give you. That's not something that like you can just fake or like make up, or even, just even if you have it, if you're having a bad day, it's not something you could just muster up. Right. So that kind of journey to having my own like belief in myself and self-confidence in who Willow is and like what I bring to the table, knowing my self-worth, understanding my value, that's really been the hardest lesson. Because the only way for you to do that is to constantly get in front of a crowd, fall in front of your face, say, okay, that didn't go as well as possible, but I'm going to get better. And then prove to yourself, okay, I'm going to get better. And you do it. It's nothing you can do in like a week. It's really just like a process that never ends. But definitely my confidence as a human being outside of wrestling has grown a lot from being Willow. So it's cool. It's a hard lesson, but it's totally worthwhile and rewarding, and one of the greatest takeaways for me.
Yeah, and I think you bring up like a great point too, because I know like I was backstage at a show, I was feeling kind of nervous, and I like had mentioned, I was like, yeah, like I'm kind of nervous. I was like, this kind of different crowd that I've been in front of, and one of the other veterans had to stop me and said, listen, you have done things outside of this business that few and far in between have done and are bigger than what this will ever be. Like, so just relax. He's like, even if you fuck up, what's the worst people gonna do? Laugh? Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
exactly. It's so easy to put in words like chill out, but like to actually do it is another thing. And that's why I think it's so difficult. Um, it's really just like constantly putting yourself in those positions. But
Yeah.
yeah, everybody feels that way. I think everybody gets anxious and nervous about wrestling. It's just the nature of the beast. Live performance, baby.
It's funny because like I'll bring this up to you, and I brought this up to somebody else too, and they weren't associated with the sport. They don't really get it. So they're like, they mentioned the F word, right? Like, yo, isn't that like fake, And I was like, well, first of all, I was like, let me be honest with you. I was like, have you ever gone to a musical and just booed the performance? And he was like, well, no, it's rude. I was like, so you wouldn't go to someone like, I don't know, you wouldn't go to Lin-Manuel Miranda and be like, Hamilton didn't rap. It's like, no.
Exactly.
So why would you use that word? And he was just like,
That's a great example, honestly. I'm going to start
yeah.
using that, I think.
I would just be like, yo, I don't go to a show and be like, Aaron Burr didn't sing. Like, I just don't do it. Like, it didn't make sense to me. But everybody was like, oh, yeah, I can see why this is bad. Like, you're meant to cheer, you're meant to have fun. You can boo the bad guy, you can cheer the good guy, you can boo the good guy, you can cheer the bad guy, you can do those things. But don't like be like, hey man, I'm gonna demeanor your idea of this. Like,
It's truly a spectacle like nothing else. Like I always talk about how I think like it's really kind of bananas that wrestling is seen as such a lowbrow like cultural phenomenon because there's such like a rich culture and history of where it comes from, how it was formed. And I mean it could just be because like, oh, I'm a fan of it. Like naturally I'm gonna be like, it's great. But like there's really nothing like it. It's theater, it's combat, it's improvisation, it's your memory all at the same time, it's engaging with your audience, and again improv kind of going based off of what they're saying. It's just so many different things happening at once, and it's like how else do you get that level of entertainment? Tell me.
mm. and and the fact is, like when there's a performance going on in like like Hamilton or The Lion King, they're not always open over there to tell you like, hey, sing the words to this song. No, but there are people in the wrestling community that will tell you to sing along with a certain song.
This is true.
Yo, so I'm very curious. I need to ask this question. Like, what kind of advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers?
um I think the most important piece of advice I could give to somebody starting out is to find a school that is going to give you a solid foundation in terms of your fundamentals, your footwork, how to structure matches, things like that. But also somewhere that you're going to have a good support system, because if you go to a school and they teach you how to be the best wrestler possible, but you don't feel like you're being emotionally supported, it's going to be so easy for you to say, this isn't for me. And unfortunately, a lot of places back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I mean like even 7 years ago when I started, 10 years ago, right kind of up to that point, would try to like kind of shame people out or push them out. Um, when really I think there kind of is a place for every different type of person in wrestling. And if you could find your niche, you're good. Just try and find your niche, try and have solid fundamentals, and that should take you a really long way.
I like that a lot. I was like, it just, and then to be fair, it's also good life advice, right? That's why I love
Yeah,
wrestling.
find your niche in life. Yes, this
Yeah,
is.
I love wrestling because like that's like listen, and you brought it up earlier, right? Like myself, like I struggle like so I don't work in sales, but I work like kind of like with sales.
Mhm.
And the fact that like wrestling has opened me up so much more because like I'm always talking to people and I always get to be out there and like very energetic and I get to be somebody different, right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what and it grows the confidence in me that I'm like, yo, if I can do this in this place as this person, then I can definitely be me in this small wheelhouse and enjoy myself. And then you're right, find your niche. And I find and you ride that roller coaster.
Amen. Yeah.
So you have been around, you said 7 years. You have traveled all over the place. I'm very curious. I need to know one do and one don't of the locker room.
Okay, one do, um, or maybe I'll start with a don't, because one thing you should not be doing in the locker room is taking pictures in the locker room, like right outside of it. That's cool. But you never know when like somebody is changing or like might be like in a kind of like inappropriate situation, or like they, or if you're recording a video and they're talking about their personal lives, like you don't want that on record. So if you want to take pictures with your buddies and stuff, like that's absolutely cool. I love behind the scenes pictures and like a peek behind the curtain kind of stuff, but just make sure everybody's dressed and like don't be weird, you know, trying to keep your memories. A locker room do. Personally, I like to have as many things on my being as possible. If somebody needs like wrist tape, or this is something I get asked a lot as a woman in wrestling. I usually have a very good body spray on me, because the amount of dudes that'll be like, I smell, hey, Willow, you got something I can spray to smell better? I always try to be like, I got you, because nobody wants to be wrestling and their opponent smells bad. So I guess a do is like try and stay clean and fresh, and be able to have things that other people need. Band-Aids are also always good to have on hand. Stuff like that, just try and be handy and have things for everyone else.
I never, okay, that's definitely something that's gonna be in my bag going forward, is Band-Aids. Because like that's something, it's so I'm that dude, like, as well. Like, I'm that guy. But do you have wrist tape? What color are you looking for? Wait, there's colors? Like, first, I said that already. So you want to rock with pink? We can rock with pink. You want to rock with blue? We can rock with blue. White,
There's
black, red. Yeah.
there's like a very like, I think, maternally kind of feeling that I have around wrestling sometimes, because when I first started there weren't like a lot of girls at my school, and it was just like me and a bunch of dudes, and every now and then like a woman would come in or leave or whatever. So I always felt like I'm the mom of the group, I'll take care of you. So I just carry that with me, where I'm like, I have poopery. If you need to take care of your business and you don't want to stick it up, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. So that's just me though.
Yeah, I guess I could relate, because like very dad mode, because obviously like a lot of people know like I have a kid. But
Yeah.
then like I'll have like, if you need a Sharpie, I'm that guy. If you like, and I'll be like, just make sure I get them back. And then most of the times I don't. Like, I know
That happens.
someone tried to play me a couple days ago and was like, yeah, we'll give you back your Sharpie. And I was like, no, I really want it back. Like, someone else is gonna need it, and we want to make sure that person has it
Exactly. It's a brotherhood.
Right. I was like, you went in my box. That's the other part too. And I don't put this there. It's my own. Don't go through other people's stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that should
Yes.
be a given. But it's
Yeah.
not. It's not a given, but it should be.
It should be. Even though you know it's in there, doesn't mean that you should be going in there. But those are all like the heavy hitting questions. So we got to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. You're probably wondering to yourself, what's the first? It's the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find on our debate show every Sunday, because it's what we do. But this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. And Willow, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. So whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
Gotcha.
All right. So,
does it have to be like one word, or can I like explain it? Okay.
No, yeah, you can explain it if you want to.
Cool. We'll see.
But we will add the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
It used to be Raw when I was a kid, but now it's SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Of course.
It's a good one.
It's a classic. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Favorite color?
Purple.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Favorite submission?
Ooh, Texas Cloverleaf.
Let's go. Sonic or Mario?
Sonic.
Favorite podcast?
Oh. And that's why we drink. It's a podcast about like the supernatural and true crime. So
Oh, I have to check this podcast out. I've never heard of it, so I'm definitely going to check it out now.
yeah.
Nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
Ooh, Faye Jackson was the first person that I came to mind because I just think she is like such a wealth of like knowledge and insight and joy, and I just love Faye. So she popped into my head. I'll say Faye.
Yeah, I definitely. That's like, she is the second most requested person for this.
Yeah,
podcast.
that sounds about right. Yeah, she's just great. Talk about being everybody's mom. Faye is everybody's mom.
And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this show: favorite curse word.
Ooh, probably fuck, just because I say it a lot. You know, it could be like fuck yeah, is really like exciting and like joyous and exclaiming. Can I do a little side story?
Oh yeah.
So I recently got into like rock climbing, bouldering. So it's just like you don't hook up to a harness or anything. You just like climb on those little like pegs or whatever.
Right.
And I've been going with a group of my friends from high school, and you know, I'm just cheering my friends on as I do. And I remember like just this Sunday, my friend got to the top and I was like, fuck yeah. And I look around and there's like all these kids like at a party. And I'm like, oh no, I can't be that person. I can't. So I felt so bad. I like sunk into my like, everything. I was like, oh God. So.
And then just randomly one of the kids was like, hey mom, that's the girl from AEW Dark.
that would be like the worst. You want a piece of advice? Mercedes Martinez once told me the job starts the moment you walk out of the house. Because it's true. You never know when somebody's going to recognize you. You never know. So you always have to be the best version of yourself out in public. No matter if you're like, I'm just chilling with my homies. You gotta be a good person always.
Yo, but it is crazy too. Like we can keep chopping this up with this. It's also crazy because like you have to do that for social media too.
Yep.
Like think about like how many people put out there like, hey, I just want to be myself today, and then that's it. Canceled. That's
yeah. I was like a teenager who had Tumblr. And I used to just like blog everything I felt, like every emotion that came into my brain is like, I had the worst day ever, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you can't do that anymore. You can't just spill your heart out online. Like people can't hear about the terrible day you had. I mean, unless you say it just like that. If it's just very bland, like had a bad day, I usually try to like make it positive though. So if I tweet about a bad day, I'll be like, I went through a really tough day, but here's a positive. You guys, my fans, always cheer me up. So thanks. You know, like I feel like that fits with who Willow is. So that's what I try to do to help keep other people inspired as well.
No, it's good. It's good to do because I know, like for me, I'm like I have to think about it differently, right? Because like I'm like, if my daughter was to find this 6 years from now, what would she think that was?
That's very true. I have like nephews who are on Twitter now, or at least my oldest one's on Twitter, and sometimes he'll comment on stuff and I'll be like, oh my God, I have eyes watching me. I have little eyes watching me. Not just the ones I know, but like you never know who's following you.
Exactly. But listen, those are all the questions I have. So we just need to have you let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
So all the lovely people who tuned in, you can find me at Willow Wrestles. That's what I am on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok, which I'm not like super active on, but from time to time I'll be on a TikTok kick. So check those out and give me a follow, I guess.
There you go. She gave you her handles. You already know what it's all about. And like every great part of a match, you gotta take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. And like every good Sherpa, which by this time, I would hope that you would at least acknowledge me. No copyright intended for that. You should tune into our next episode and know that it's never about me, but it's about who's entering into there. You see her right next to me. She is the babe with the power. Willow is seen right there. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode and you just wait for that outro, and then you choose another episode to listen to.
Exactly. Do that.
Yeah. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3count podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3count podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please. Nice. Actually, I'm gonna use the whole thing too.
Yeah, I was like, wait, if it's a podcast, like people could also just like listen to it and not have to watch it. But
so I'm gonna let you. I'll have you say it one more time for me, though, please.
Sure. Hey there, this is Willow Nightingale, and you are watching or listening to the 3 Count podcast.